right, team, welcome back to another channel show. Today I have Dr. Ross Phan, and we're going to talk about career, and she has a very interesting career path, and I really want you guys to listen to how she navigates through from pivoting to research to clinical, independent. I mean, she does it all. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and let Dr. Ross Phan introduce herself.
Hi, how are you, Anne? It's been a while.
Yes.
Well, hi, everyone. You can just call me Ross. I'm more comfortable with that. I'm Ross, and I went to UT with Anne, and that's how we reconnected again. That's how, we went to pharmacy school there, and I can't believe it's already been almost 10 years. So,
Yes, it's crazy.
yep, yep.
Um, and so, can you tell the audience a little about your journey? Like, once you finished with pharmacy school, I know while we were together in at UT, you were very interested in research, but I know you pivot from that a little bit. So, can you talk about that decision point? Why did you change, and how did you pursue your current aspiration now?
Yeah. So when I was actually a graduate student, trying to finish up the PharmD PhD program, surprisingly to me, my love for research kind of started waning a little bit, and then I was actually a part-time or PRN pharmacist at an independent pharmacy in Austin. Some of you might have heard of it. It's been around forever, like since the 1950s. It's called NOW's Infield Drug. And I've heard like a lot of the, graduate students who are also pharmacists always start there, but most of them decide to go through with the PhD route. But I was a little different. I ended up realizing how much I do love direct patient care, because in the lab, I couldn't talk to anyone as much. You just have your cells, you have your HPLC machine, and honestly was driving me a little crazy. So I realized that that's not the way I wanted to go. And so I decided to, like you said, switch gears and pursue pharmacy full time now.
Okay. And then when you were working as you said PRN, right,
Yeah.
during your graduate, what was the decision point? Did you have someone guiding you through, or were you kind of on your own and finding your own journey and realizing that, research not for me, I'm gonna go towards independent pharmacy?
Yeah. So it was a little bit a decision on my own, that I decided to do this. And when I decided to do this, I was leaning towards actually ambulatory care pharmacy. But my decision kind of happened after, the application deadline for residency happened. So that's why I decided to, just apply away and see if I can get an ambulatory care position or, anywhere where I can practice pharmacy, more than just PRN. So that was the route that I decided to take.
And then I know then you look into residency. Um,
Yeah.
so how did that decision impact your current position now?
So I actually did not do residency, so it is a little different. But right now, I am a part-time telepharmacist, and I remotely verify prescriptions for hospitals in multiple states. One of them being New York, and I provide other remote type services. But one of the reasons why I didn't do residency was, when I made this decision. My husband is a physician right now, but he was also doing residency, and we both have parents that we take care of, and one of us needed more of a full-time job and not residency pay. So it was a very logical decision that was made. And so I decided for him to, he as a doctor really needed to finish the residency in order to practice. As a pharmacist currently, at that time, I didn't need to finish residency in order to practice. So I decided to just go ahead and practice full time. And of course, I started out in community, and then and actually I practiced at Target as a chain first, and then I was able to find a full time job at another independent pharmacy, and I became a manager there. And while I was doing all this, I made sure to, it's almost as if I put myself in a self-directed residency in that I made sure to always keep up with CEs, and I made sure to get board certification in geriatrics and ambulatory care, things like that, to make sure I continually stay up to date. So that's what I did instead. That's the route I took.
Yeah, and I think that's really important for those listening. Like with residency, there's a saying where 1 year residency equals 3 years experience, which is may or may not be true, but in a sense that 1 year residency is very intense, where you're trying to get as many rotations, kind of like your P4 rotations on steroids.
I
Um,
bet.
yeah. So, but then, with Rosh, you're looking at opportunities to continue on your updates, continue keeping up with all the guidelines and changes. So that's really important. So, how do you prepare for all the certifications? So you say you got the ambulatory as well as geriatric. Like what? Because there's so many certification out there, right? So, like, why
Yeah.
did you decide to choose ambulatory, which I know you have an interest in, but why geriatric?
So in the independent pharmacy that I was practicing in when I was managing there, it was in a small little town, and the people there are very close knit, and they've lived there for many generations. So you go in and you'll see a grandpa, and you'll see his son, and you'll see his grandson. So I do have a variety of people I did take care of, a variety of age groups, but the majority of them are older adults. And so we also provided medication therapy management there too. And we set up immunization clinics there too. And there was this small little town was also, or the pharmacy was surrounded by nursing homes, assisted living facilities. So as you can see, a lot of my patient population were older adults. So I wanted to make sure that I'm doing them justice and taking care of them appropriately. So, I thought I've already been practicing for 2 years as, a pharmacist, and I think that was the requirement back then. I know a few things have changed since, but I decided to go ahead and started studying to, you know, become a board certified geriatric pharmacist.
Great. And I think that's really important, from an independent point of view, where you really want to enhance your clinical skills. And one way is to get those certification because it forces you to stay up to date. Like even the first thing is to study for it and pass, but the second thing is to keep up with the certification. You just like pharmacist license, you need like 30 hours every 2 years. These certifications also require a certain amount of hours in the span of whatever number of years that you do it. Um, so really quickly, I know I'm not going to go into much detail about the geriatric, but how long did it take you to study and what kind of resources do you use to study?
Sure. So I think back then I used ASCP to study, and the way I study is maybe different from other people, but my preference is I usually take all the sources that's given to me. So usually with ASCP, they gave me a bunch of different subject topics with PowerPoint presentations. And then I look at how much time I have until my exam. And then I look at how many weeks, I break them down into weeks. And then I look at how many topics I have. And then I just divide it up. And I'm like, okay, I have enough time for 2 topics every week. And so then I just force myself, on that regimen, try to be disciplined about it and try to make sure I study 2 topics or 2 disease states or something like that every week to get to that point.
Awesome. So do you feel like it pays off in the sense that you were working as a independent or a manager in an independent pharmacy, right? So you take care of that population and then you transition into working in telepharmacy. Can you kind of talk about that period? How did you make that transition and how did your certification help, if it helps?
Yeah. So I think it does help because, like you said, it does make sure that I stay up to date. So for someone transitioning from community to telepharmacy where I'm activating orders for different hospitals and different facilities. It's all pharmacy, so there is going to be some overlap, but there are differences too. In a hospital type setting, I pay attention more to lab values and kidney function, liver function, and all that other stuff. And I think what's nice is it definitely Makes sure that I stay up to date also on guidelines. So when I talk to doctors, I'm not as nervous about presenting why I would like to do something, because I already have some familiarity with what guidelines I would like to use to, make sure that I'm going to make a suggestion to switch doses or to switch drugs or something like that. So,
Okay.
yeah.